Sometimes it's better to walk away. Welcome to McBain Moments. Alright guys, you know what to do. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the manor. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Sometimes it's better to just walk away. There are numerous philosophical groups. I was trying to think of the right word for it because it's not denominations. It's more like tenets. You hear it in Buddhism. You hear it in Christianity. You hear it in Taoism. You especially hear it in Taoism, actually. Stoicism, Greek Stoicism is where I first learned it. Sometimes it's better to just not say anything. In today's day and age, we live in a world where people peddle in rage, anger, and they do it because it gets attention. For whatever reason, in the last 20 or so years, and it's probably fed by the constant news cycle, the development of social media, changes in cultural norms, the ability for us to get information up to the second and then not having to wait for verification. We have been feeding on chum buckets of rage bait for roughly the last 10 to 15 years. And so people live on this. It fuels them. And I don't necessarily understand it, but it's at the same time, I understand the human predilection to want to be angry at things. And so people, they go looking for things to be angry at. And then they broadcast their anger over the interwebs. And a lot of times they're angry over things that are just patently incorrect. And then when someone who is actually an expert in that field steps in and says, hey, you know, it's not the way it works, they use emotion to override evidence. And so, what do you do about this? How do you overcome dealing with those things? The first thing is, and this is something I struggle with, but I've mostly learned to do this. If you're on social media and you see something that you know is patently absurd, just scroll. Just scroll. Don't try debunking it. Don't try showing evidence. Because they don't want evidence. They want to be angry. You can be an expert in the field that they're talking about. And if they don't want evidence, if they just want to rage, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to find some emotional proof that they're correct. Or they're going to throw something at you that you literally can't argue against because there's no argument to be had. It's like the old, it's like when someone asks, when did you stop beating your wife? There is no good answer to that. They're using a snuck premise to take out the possibility that you never did. And so the idea is, in the event that you run into people who are like that, you just need to keep scrolling. And you'll learn who they are in your circle of friends. You're going to have some. These days, you're going to have probably a large percentage of your friend group is probably going to be like that. Because that's all we live on now. It's a cesspit of rage. And the challenge is to keep your calm. You need to maintain the peace. Because their rage isn't going to affect you if you just scroll by. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at this. Hell no. I still fall into the trap. There are a couple of things that I am very good at. I'm not good at a lot of things, but there are a few things that I am very good at. I take pride in the years of experience and the years of learning and training that I had to go through in order to become as good as I am at those things. And so when someone puts something out there that falls into my line of expertise, into my little box, and I know for a fact that it is not only wrong, but it's dangerously wrong, I want to comment on it. And I've learned the hard way that all that does is give them someone to rage at. And so I have tried very hard to just keep scrolling. It doesn't matter that they're dangerously wrong. It doesn't matter that they're misinforming everyone else, which is unfortunate because I want people to be informed, especially since the areas of expertise that I have expertise in are so important to everyday life. You know, I deal with money management, finance. That's where I'm good. And it's very frustrating when I can't, when I provide facts and I'm just told that because of an emotional reason I'm wrong. And you're going to run into that too. You could be a biologist and someone is going to throw out, I don't know, I'm not very good at biology, but let's say they try to insist that humans have cell walls, which only plants have cell walls. I believe that's the term for it. It's because plants have square cells, and I think it's called a cell wall. It's a thick protection for the cell itself that animal cells don't have. And they could just emotionally insist on, well, that's why cells are so tough. Or they might come up with some absurd segue to make it sound like it's the same. And as a biologist, you'd be like, and you're probably cringing at me right now if you are a biologist. You're like, no, that's not only wrong, it's unscientific. You have to scroll by. If you need to type up some sort of an answer, if you have to respond in a Word document. And don't move it to social media. And some of these responses, if you're someone like me who like really gets into it, you're going to have like 4 paragraphs. Delete it. Or save it somewhere else. And no, I'm not perfect. I still fall victim to it. Not victim, I fall trapped to it. Because that's what it is, a trap. But I'm working on getting better. And you should too. This has been a McBain moment.